Today, I'm going to show you how to draw this floor plan using ArchiCAD, and I'm going to begin with the first step, which is how to open a new project in ArchiCAD. Double click on the ArchiCAD icon, and this will appear at the top. Click on this part, click on New. Once you do that, this will appear. Under Template, select ArchiCAD 25 template. Under Work Environment Profile, select Default Profile and click on New. Once you do that, your workspace of the new project will appear. Before we proceed, let's save our project and name it. Click on File, select Save As, and choose a folder to save your project in, and type in the name of your project. Once you're done typing in the name of your project, click on Save. The next step you're going to do is enter settings for our new project. At the top, click on Options, drop down to Project Preferences, and select Working Units. Under Length Unit, select millimeter. You're going to choose 0 for the decimals. For the area unit, select square millimeter. The decimals, choose 0. The volume unit, select cubic meter. For the angle unit, select that. Under layout unit, select millimeter. And for this, select 0 and click OK. Click on Options again. Drop down to Project Preferences and click on Dimensions. And this will pop up. Under Unit, select millimeter and for the decimals choose 0 and click OK. Now the next step will be drawing grids of our new project. Under Documents, click on Document, drop down to Grid Element tool, double click on it, and this will pop up the Grid Element default settings. Let's begin by entering settings for the floor plan. Under this, select all stories. For the grid line, select dashed line. Click on this part and select this color. For the markers, leave them as they are. And on this part, type 1000. Now let's enter settings for section and elevation. Click on General. For the grid line, select dashed and click on this color. For the markers, type 7000 millimeters, and for this type negative 2000 millimeters. Let's enter settings for naming rules. Click on Generated Names. Start at A, and for the style, choose this. For the marker settings, type 5 millimeters. For the marker pen, select that, and for the text pen, select that. For the marker shape, select circle. Under text style, we are going to choose this style. Click on that, and for this, select that option and choose that. And here type 3 millimeters. Under 3D view, select that, type 0, check that box and choose this. Under classification and properties, these are the settings. Then click OK. Now let's begin drawing our grid line. Click on a point in workspace, drag your mouse and type in the length of your grid line. Type 19,700 millimeters. Let's drag a copy of our grid line. Click on it, right click, drop down to move and select drag a copy. Click on your grid line, drag your mouse and a copy of your grid line will be generated. Right click, select drag a copy and drag it by 2250 millimeters. Drag another copy and type the distance as 2550 millimeters. Drag another, let's name this grid line as B. Type C and then type D. Let's draw another grid line. Under Documents, under Document, drop down to Grid Element tool, click on it, click in a point in Workspace, click on a point in Workspace, drag your mouse and click on another point to end your grid line. Click on the grid line and name it 1. Let's drag a copy of this grid line. Right click, click on move, click on drag a copy and drag it by typing in the distance 3275 millimeters. The other line, we're going to drag it by 1375 millimeters. Drag that line by 1775 millimeters. For this other grid line, type 3350 millimeters. Drag a copy of this line and type the distance as 1800 millimeters. Drag another copy of this line and type in the distance as 1670. Drag another copy and type the distance as 2100 millimeters. let's rename our grid lines. Click on the grid line and type 2. For the other one, type 3, type 4, type 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that's how you draw grid lines in ArchiCAD. In this next step, I'm going to show you how to draw walls. Under Design, double click on the Wall tool and the wall default settings will pop up. Under Geometry and Positioning settings, we are going to begin by entering settings for the top link. Select that, click on that, and type 200 millimeters. Click on that option and click on that. Select 0, click on 0. For the home storage, select ground floor, which is the current. Under floor plan and section settings, you're going to enter the settings as shown on the screen. And for the model settings, you're going to enter settings for the override services. Click on them, click on this part and select this option. For this other part of the service, select this option, and for this, click on that option. Under Structural Analytical Parameters, you're going to enter the settings as shown on the screen. For the Classification and Properties settings, enter the settings as shown on the screen. Once you're done, click OK. Now let's begin drawing our external walls. Click on this part, drag your mouse and type the length of the wall. Type 15,350 millimeters. Enter. Click on the wall and drag it by 100 millimeters. Click on the wall, right click, click on Move and drag a copy from this point all the way to this point. Now let's draw the other part of the external wall. Click on wall, click on this point, drag your mouse and click on this point. Select that wall and drag it by 100 millimeters. Click on the three walls and at the top click on intersect, and the two walls and the three walls will be joined. Let's drag multiple copies of this wall. Click on this part of the wall and drag your mouse and click on this point. Click on this other point. Click on this. Click on this. Click on this part. Click on this one, and this at the top. Click on intersect. Now let's draw the other part of the external wall. Click on wall tool. Click on this part. Drag your mouse and click on this part. Let's drag our wall. Right click, click on move and drag by 100 millimeters. Let's draw another wall from this point all the way to this other point. Drag that wall by 100. Extend this wall all the way to this part. Click on wall. Drag your mouse to this part. Click on wall tool. Click on this part. Drag your mouse and click on the other part. Drag your wall by 100. Enter. Click on the tool and select intersect. At the bottom of this point, click on these two walls and click on intersect. click on wall tool, click on this part and drag your mouse and click on this other point. Drag your wall by 100. And that's how you draw external walls in ArchiCAD. Click on this wall, right click and select wall selection settings, and this will pop up. Type 150 millimeters and click OK. Drag your wall from this point to this other point. And then let's move our wall from this point by 75 millimeters. Let's change the thickness of this wall. Click on it, but let's first split it. Click on this part. Click on this part of the wall. Drag your mouse and enter. Click on the wall. Right click. Select wall selection setting and type the thickness as 150 millimeters. Right click and move your wall from this point to this other point. Right click, drag it by 75 millimeters. Click on that wall, select split, click on this part of the wall, drag your mouse and split your wall and change the thickness to 150 millimeters and click OK. Move from this part to this other part and drag the wall by 75 millimeters. Click on that wall and select trim, and then click on that part of the wall to trim it. Now let's change let's change the thickness of that wall to 150 millimeters and move our wall from this point to that point, and then drag it from that point to that and type 75 millimeters. Let's change the thickness of that wall and type the thickness of the wall as 150 millimeters. And then let's move it from this point to that. Right click, move and drag 8 by 75. Select the wall and click on trim, and then trim that part of the wall. Click on that part of the wall, drag your mouse up to that point, click on this part of the wall, those two walls, and intersect them. Click on that, click on wall, click on that part of the wall and draw a wall up to that point. Click on it, right click and drag a copy by 100. Drag that copy by 1000 millimeters. Click on trim and trim that part of the wall. Click on the wall, right click, select wall selection setting and type 150 millimeters. And that's how you draw or change the thickness of internal walls in ArchiCAD.